Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Starship for All. Activate the Spear of Adon at the beginning. Chapter 101. The three of them nodded in agreement and helped each other avoid the rubble and debris scattered on the ground. They moved forward cautiously, trying to find some clues or signs. As they continued to move forward, the surrounding scene became more and more desolate. The buildings around him were in dilapidated condition, and the road was full of cracks and potholes. In the dead silence, only their own rapid breathing could be heard. We must find a way back as soon as possible. 453. Chu Zhong reminded keenly. We can split up and search the nearby areas, hoping to find some useful clues. Mubai nodded quickly. Okay. I'll be in charge here. After saying that, he quickly walked towards the east direction. Dongwei turned to the south. I'll go over here and have a look. He walked towards the ruins. Chu Zhong was left standing alone, looking around, but there was no obvious clue. But he knew he couldn't give up. In this strange and dangerous environment, time and space might be distorted. At this moment, a chill hit his cheek. He knew he was heading in the right direction. The three of them kept walking forward, hoping to find each other and the way back. In the process, they issued warning sounds from time to time to remind each other of possible dangers around them. They carefully stepped onto the charred land, as if they were walking into ruins. Trees were destroyed and buildings collapsed. No one was spared. The ground is full of cracks and holes, as if there had been a huge explosion. The three people had shock and fear on their faces, observing all this silently. They know they can find answers faster only by working together. Chu Zhong looked around and found a dilapidated building. Although it has been changed beyond recognition, judging from its shape, it seems that it was once a technology laboratory. He quickly ran there, hoping to find some useful clues. After Mubai and Dongwei saw Chu Yang's actions, they did not stop and wait for him to come back. Instead, they decided to split up and search the surrounding area. Mubai chose to go north, while Dongwei headed west. Chu Zhong came to the building that used to be a laboratory. The walls have collapsed, exposing the concrete frame and steel structure. He carefully stepped over a pile of broken glass and entered the interior of the building. The interior was in a mess, with piles of documents and experimental equipment scattered on the floor. Cables hung from the walls, and dim lights barely illuminated the surroundings. Light as bright as day pierced the sky again, illuminating the entire ruins in a dazzling light. The sun seemed to suddenly become extremely bright at the same time, and the dazzling light made it impossible to open your eyes. A strong heat wave hit, and Chu Zhong, Mubai and Dongwei were forced to hide behind the bunker. What's going on? Chu Zhong frowned and muttered to himself, trying to figure out what happened. He took out a small instrument from his pocket and began to scan the surrounding environment. The instrument shows unusually high energy fluctuations. Mubai looked at Chu Yang's instrument and asked, "Can you determine what is?" Chu Zhong covered his eyes with difficulty and replied, "According to my analysis, this is likely to be a helium flash phenomenon. Helium flash is an extremely rare and powerful discharge phenomenon that can cause a huge energy release under certain specific environments." Dongwei swallowed and asked while maintaining his composure, "What should we do? How to protect each other from this energy wave?" Chu Zhong thought for a moment and then said, "We need to find a safer place, away from this ruin. The dilapidated laboratory is no longer a reliable place of refuge. We need to get out of here quickly." The three men immediately took action, carefully making their way through the scattered debris and cracks on the ground. Although their vision was blurred, they relied on each other's voices and touches to maintain a tight formation as much as possible. They finally found a relatively safe corner, hiding behind a pile of rubble. Mubai quickly took down the tent in his backpack and used it to set up a simple shelter. "It should be relatively safe here." Mubai panted heavily and said that the fluctuations gradually stopped, and the dazzling light gradually dissipated, leaving behind a lifeless ruins. Chu Zhong slowly opened his eyes, looking at the dilapidated equipment and ruins around him, and a firm determination surged in his heart. He knows that he is the one with scientific and technological knowledge among the survivors, and he also realizes that only by using this opportunity and knowledge can everything be saved. "We have to act quickly," Chu Zhong said in a deep voice. "This emergency may be just the beginning. I want to use the scientific and technological knowledge in my hands to prevent the end of mankind that may occur next." Mubai and Dongwei looked at each other and saw the firm look in Chu Yang's eyes. They took a deep breath and agreed to his plan. Let's find the other survivors first, Chu Zhang said. Besides us, there should be others who survived this incident. If we can gather together and jointly use the strength and resources we each have, we may be able to break the situation. They walked carefully through the ruins, looking for other survivors. Along the way they encountered people trapped under the debris and worked to free them. Everyone who was rescued was grateful. No one imagined that anyone could survive this disaster. Chu Zhang continued his search and finally found an abandoned laboratory. Although it was destroyed beyond recognition, it still provided a place of refuge. They entered the laboratory and looked at the dilapidated scene around them, making Chu Zhang feel even more determined. He began to think about how to use the scientific and technological knowledge in his hands to create a new future for the survivors. I have some equipment that I can repair, Chu Zhang said. Although it is old and worn out, as long as we can gather together and use scientific and technological knowledge and resources, maybe we can really create a new world. Mubai and Dongwei looked at Chu Yang's firm and hopeful face, and their hearts began to be filled with confidence. They firmly believe that Chu Zhang has the ability to change everything. The three people decided to use this abandoned laboratory as their base and searched for other survivors around them. Chu Zhang looked at the ruins surrounding the abandoned laboratory, filled with longing for the future. He knew that only through on-the-spot inspections could he obtain more accurate intelligence and data in order to better formulate response measures. After careful consideration, he decided to tell Dongwei and Mubai about this idea. The three people got together to discuss who would send more people to the surface for field inspections, and decided to set up a team to implement the plan. We need to select someone with the ability and courage to participate in the field trip, Chu Zhang suggested. He needs to have certain scientific and technological knowledge and survivability to deal with any dangers he may encounter. Dong Wei looked at Chu Zhang with firm eyes. I will do my best to support your plan. We must work hard for the little hope we have left. Chu Zhang looked at his two friends gratefully, knowing that he was not alone, and the three decided to join together. The three of them believe that as long as they unite, they can overcome any difficulties. Chu Zhang, Dong Wei and Mubai stood together, looking at the chaotic ruins and wilderness around them. Dilapidated buildings, collapsed walls, and endless ruins seemed to be mercilessly mocking their efforts and hopes. However, they had no intention of backing down. Chu Zhang clenched his fists and showed a firm and confident look. We can't give up. Although the difficulties we have to face are huge, only by persisting can we have a daily opportunity, he said firmly. Dong Wei looked at Chu Zhang and felt his unstoppable determination. He nodded. Yes, we cannot be defeated by this ruins. We have lost too much, and now we have no choice but to persevere. Mubai held Chu Zhang and Dong Wei's hands tightly, conveying deep trust and support. I believe in you and I believe that we can overcome all difficulties. The three of them exchanged firm and resolute looks, promising to persevere no matter what difficulties they encountered and work together to realize their plans. They know that this mission is not only for themselves, but also to save the entire human race. Chu Zhang looked at the thick smoke and the ruins of the destroyed city in the distance, and a fire ignited in his heart. He believes that as long as enough brave people join, they will be able to overcome the darkness brought by the lost city of hope. They decided to set up a team dedicated to field investigation and intelligence collection to explore the secrets of this wilderness from the surface. Only through actual actions can we obtain more accurate intelligence and data to better formulate response measures. Dong Wei passed a map and marked various important landmarks and possible entry points on it. We need to plan every action step in advance and be fully prepared, she said seriously. We will be the vanguard and find a way to survive for the entire human race. Chu Zhang took a deep breath and was full of confidence in himself and his partners. We will not let down this trust, and we will do our best to complete this mission and protect the future of mankind. There was firmness and determination in his voice. Mubai looked at the various locations marked on the map, and couldn't help but feel excited in his heart. Quote. This will be a dangerous and exciting journey, and I believe we can get through it, he said passionately. The three of them held each other's hands tightly. This simple and solemn gesture seemed to be a tacit understanding. Chu Zhang decided to use his technological knowledge to find other survivors and launch his plan to them. He believes that only Qian Zhao can save mankind from doom by working together. After discussing the details with Dong Wei and Mu Bai, Chu Zhong began to prepare to launch their plan to other survivors. They know very well that if they want to survive in this city that has lost hope, they need the support and participation of more people. Over the next few days, Chu Zhong turned his technology lab into a command center. The computer screen displayed the locations and information of known survivors in the ruins. He used advanced satellite monitoring systems to study the possible environmental conditions and living conditions of each survivor. Through detailed analysis of the ruins, Chu Zhong discovered some potential refuge spots. He marked these places on a map and planned the best routes to reach those lucky enough to escape the confines of the city's ruins. We need to act quickly. Chu Zhong stood in the command center, clenching his fists. Every second is crucial, we can't waste any more time. Chu Zhong led Dong Wei and Mu Bai into his technology laboratory, and their master came to a quiet corner. Chu Zhong began to show them the theory about controllable nuclear fusion and new materials in detail. Chu Zhong picked up a piece of gravel and used it to gently carve equations and images on the cave wall. His movements are skillful and agile, as if he were freely swaying on the ink paper. Look at this equation, this is my latest research on the controllable nuclear fusion theory. Chu Zhong said, pointing to the equations pieced together on the wall. If we can successfully implement this theory, we can use nuclear energy to supply the city's energy needs and no longer rely on limited resources. Dong Wei and Mu Bai stood beside Chu Zhong, listening to his explanation attentively. They were attracted by Chu Yang's profound and simple way of expression, as if they were in a world full of hope and unknown. Next, Chu Zhong pointed out another part of the image. This is the result of my research on a new material. It has very strong pressure resistance and conductivity and can be widely used in construction and manufacturing. Dong Wei asked curiously, Chu Zhong, your theory sounds great, but are these only valid in theory? How can we verify their feasibility? Chu Zhong continued to describe the controllable core in vivid language, the process of fusion, explaining in detail how damage to the environment can be avoided. His words are full of scientific power and passion, which makes people immersed in it. Did you know that controllable nuclear fusion is an energy supply method modeled on the sun? In this process, we produce energy by fusing hydrogen nuclei into helium. Unlike traditional nuclear fission, nuclear fusion produces not radioactive waste, but environmentally friendly, clean and harmless energy. Chu Zhong said excitedly. Mu Bai was stunned when he heard this. This is really amazing. Does it mean that we can use this method to replace traditional energy without worrying about negative impacts on the environment? Chu Zhong nodded and smiled. That's right. And the fuels required for nuclear fusion, hydrogen and heavy water, are quite abundant and easy to obtain resources. Therefore, before large-scale applications can be realized, we only need to solve technological problems and engineering challenges. Dong Wei showed surprise and admiration on his face. Chu Zhong, you are so awesome. Your understanding and mastery of technology is incredible. These theories sound really exciting to Chu Zhong smiled modestly. Actually, I just made some attempts and breakthroughs based on the research of many scientists, but if we can further verify these theories, I believe there will be endless possibilities in the future. Chu Zhong continued to introduce excitedly. In addition to controllable nuclear fusion, I also have a new discovery to share with you, the new material, Star! This material has amazing high temperature resistance and can withstand temperatures exceeding 2000 degrees Celsius. Quote. Both Dong Wei and Mu Bai were excited about this new discovery, and they couldn't wait to learn more about Star Element. Chu Yang's eyes flashed, and he began to explain in detail. Xingchensu is a composite material synthesized from a variety of special elements. It has very high thermal conductivity and strength, so it can be used in high-temperature environments. It remains stable, and at the same time, it also has good corrosion resistance and durability, which gives Xingchensu a huge advantage in extreme conditions such as high temperatures in nuclear fusion reactors. Hearing this, Dong Wei couldn't help but ask, Chu Zhong, do you think we can apply Star Element in practical projects? Chu Zhong pondered for a moment and replied, it is possible to a certain extent. Although large-scale application has not yet been fully realized, I believe that as long as we continue to research and explore, we will be able to find a suitable method. The characteristics of Shinchensu make it has broad application potential in many fields, such as aerospace, energy, etc. Mubai's eyes flashed with excitement. Then can we use the star element to create more advanced and efficient spacecraft? Chu Zhong nodded in agreement. Exactly. Shinchensu can provide excellent heat resistance and strength, which means that we can break the limitations of traditional materials and design and manufacture more advanced and lightweight space vehicles. It will undoubtedly push the entire aerospace field to a new level. Dongwei and Mubai began to think seriously about how to apply this new material and had in-depth discussions with Chu Zhong. Starting from different angles, they discussed the potential of Shinchensu in various fields and put forward their own opinions on possible problems. After listening to Chu Yang's introduction to Shinchensu, Mubai's heart burned with excitement. Getting up, he never thought that such avant-garde and profound knowledge would be used when the end came. Now he has the opportunity to change the world, and he has a strong desire in his heart to promote the advancement of science and technology. Chu Zhong, I am willing to follow you to conduct experimental verification. Mubai said excitedly, you have a very deep understanding and mastery of the star element, and I believe you will be able to find an effective application method. Chu Zhong smiled and nodded to express his thanks. Mubai, I'm glad you can join this experimental project. We need to verify the formula model and try to prepare Shinchensu. Mubai had a firm look on his face. I will do my best to help you. The two began to enter the laboratory in the ruins, each picked up the tools and prepared them. Chu Zhong took out a laptop and opened a complex model image on it. We first need to confirm whether the formula model is valid, Chu Zhong said, then look for possible problems and solve them. Mubai carefully observed Chu Yang's operation from the side, asking questions and concerns about the formula model from time to time, hoping to better understand and master the principles. Chu Zhong answered every question carefully. He patiently explained the physical principles behind the formulas and the working mechanism of the nuclear fusion reactor. They exchanged ideas with each other and kept deliberating on every detail. Time passed quietly during the two people's experiments. They seemed to be in a microscopic world, chasing between high technology and hope. Dong Wei had been standing aside, quietly watching Chu Zhong and Mubai's experiments. Although he didn't know much about technology, from Chu Yang's full faith and in-depth understanding of knowledge, he saw a great opportunity and a hope that could change the status quo. Various emotions surged in his heart, including admiration, and even some envy. He understands that in this post-apocalyptic world, only relying on technology can bring real change. And Chu Zhong is the person who can lead the advancement of science and technology. Mubai realized that Dong Wei was standing aside without making any movement, so he turned his head to look at him. Seeing Dong Wei's expressionless face but firm eyes staring at him and Chu Zhong, Mubai seemed to be able to feel the light rising deep in Dong Wei's heart. Dong Wei, what's wrong with you? Mubai asked. Dong Wei smiled and shook his head. It's okay, I'm just thinking about something. Hearing what Dong Wei said, Chu Zhong stopped what he was doing and turned around to look at him. Do you want to join us too? Dong Wei nodded. Yes, I have decided to trust you and become your solid backing. I am willing to provide all necessary support and resources, whether financial or human, so that you can concentrate on conducting verification experiments. Quote. Chu Zhong and Mubai looked at each other and smiled, their hearts filled with gratitude. Thank you, Dongwei, Chu Zhong said, we will be more confident with your support. Dongwei smiled and waved his hand. You're welcome, I also hope that we can change the current predicament through our efforts. Technology is our only hope. Chu Zhong clasped his fists to express his gratitude, then let's work together. The three of them continued to be immersed in the experiment. Dongwei began to contact various resources to provide them with the required materials and equipment. He arranged a dedicated team to assist Chu Zhong and Mubai and ensure that they could conduct the experiment safely. Chu Zhong and Mubai devoted themselves to the experiment of the formula model with enthusiasm. They set up a small laboratory, collected various materials and made the necessary equipment. Mubai quickly integrated into it and assisted Chu Zhong in data analysis and parameter adjustment, maintaining a high degree of concentration and abundant energy at all times. In the corner of the laboratory, Dongwei silently observed every movement of Chu Zhong and Mu Bai. He saw Chu Zhong operating the instrument with a serious look on his face, and his fingers dexterously adjusted the buttons and toggle switches. He saw Mu Bai busy and focused recording data, observing data charts, and analyzing the changing numbers with Chu Zhong. Mu Bai occasionally raised his head to look at Dongwei, his eyes revealing his gratitude for the support of all dimensions. Dongwei smiled and nodded, encouraging them to continue working hard. Chu Zhong and Mu Bai worked closely together, communicating and discussing experimental results, explanations of phenomena, and optimization plans. They inspire more inspiration from each other and face possible difficulties and challenges together. We need to further optimize the parameters of the model to ensure the accuracy of the experimental results. Chu Zhong said, with firm determination flashing in his eyes. Mu Bai nodded. We can try to slightly adjust the input data to see if we can get better results. They began to conduct a series of experiments, constantly adjusting the parameters and input data of the model. They tried various possibilities and recorded every subtle change. The lab is filled with buzzing sounds and keyboard clacking. Mu Bai and Chu Zhong stared at the computer screen nervously and intently, with exhaustion and expectation in their eyes. In the last experiment, they successfully predicted the occurrence of a specific phenomenon, and the experiment proved the accuracy of their model. Look at the data. Mu Bai excitedly pointed to the dancing numbers on the screen. We succeeded. We really succeeded. Chu Zhong held Mu Bai's hand excitedly, with tears in his eyes. Thanks to you, you helped me get to where we are today. They cheered to celebrate this milestone breakthrough, and the room 13 was filled with joy and fulfillment. This small laboratory has witnessed their countless failures and efforts, and now finally has an initial success. But the joy lasted only for a moment. Mu Bai looked up at Chu Zhong, full of affection and gratitude. Chu Zhong, I couldn't do this without you. Chu Zhong gently patted Mu Bai on the shoulder. Without you, I wouldn't be here today, he said and turned to sort out the scattered papers on the table. So, what do we do next? Mu Bai's eyes flashed with anticipation. Chu Zhong stopped what he was doing and thought, I think we should continue to study this formula model in depth and improve it. It has huge potential and can help us solve a series of problems that may arise after the end of the world. Mu Bai nodded in agreement. Yes, this model has unlimited possibilities. We can try to apply it to other fields to see if we can achieve the same accuracy. They began to make plans and discuss various possibilities. The lab was filled with excitement and anticipation. As time went by, Mu Bai and Chu Zhong lived a relatively regular life in the experiment. Every morning they enter the laboratory energetically and devote themselves to data analysis and parameter adjustment. They constantly challenge themselves, break through themselves, and improve the model by constantly trying new solutions. After a whole day of research and discussion, Mu Bai, Chu Zhong and Dongwei finally put down the documents in their hands and breathed a long sigh of relief. The three of them looked at each other and smiled, feeling the tacit understanding between them. Chu Zhong looked up at his two friends, with a determined light in his eyes. We have achieved initial success, but this is just the beginning. Now we need to study this formula model more deeply and explore its boundaries and subversion. Mu Bai and Dongwei both nodded deeply in agreement. They all feel the tremendous power contained in this model, and they believe it will become the key to changing the world. Next we will divide the work and cooperate. Chu Zhong suggested, I will be responsible for data analysis and formulation of experimental plans. Dongwei volunteered, I can be responsible for collecting information and conducting background research. Mu Bai said, I will try to apply this model to different fields and communicate and cooperate with other scientists. The three unanimously decided to divide the work and cooperate. They understand that only by supporting and collaborating with each other can they better explore this unknown territory. Chu Zhong, Mu Bai and Dongwei decided to work hard. They all firmly believed that only by putting in enough effort can they truly explore the boundaries and potential of this formula model. Chu Zhong picked up the gravel and continued to write equations and images on the cave wall. His hands made several cuts on the carved stone, but he didn't notice the marks. Everything in front of him was completely attracted by him, and he was immersed in the endless fun of scientific exploration. Every time he writes, he can feel the connection between himself and this formula model getting closer and closer. Mubai began to conduct experimental tests on the star element with the limited tools at hand. He carefully placed the object on a special test stand and measured various parameters with precise instruments. The results of each experiment are recorded and compared with previous conclusions. He lost track of time and focused solely on the challenges posed by the experimental data in his hands. Dongwei sat at the table, concentrating on collecting information and conducting background research. She turned on her computer and searched for relevant information on various technology websites and academic databases. She tried to find more cases and the experiences of previous researchers to provide more possibilities and directions for their research. There was a tense and energetic atmosphere throughout the room. The three people were all concentrating on their work, and their figures seemed to be integrated into this picture depicting the boundaries of science. Their desire and pursuit of the unknown world are getting stronger and stronger. After a while, Chu Zhong put down the gravel in his hand and stared at the equations and images reflected on the cave wall through his glasses. A deep sense of satisfaction welled up in my heart. He knew that this was just the beginning, but he firmly believed that as long as he worked hard enough, he could open the door to the unknown. Mubai looked at the rows of numbers and curves in the experimental data in his hand, comparing them with the theoretical model in his mind. He constantly adjusts parameters and improves experimental plans, hoping to find better and more accurate results. Every breakthrough brings him great satisfaction. Dongwei found a paper related to their research and read it carefully. She frowned slightly, thinking about how to apply these new discoveries to their research. She opened the document on her computer and began to organize and record these new ideas and thoughts. The three of them exerted their talents in their respective fields and cooperated with each other tacitly. Chu Zhong, Mubai and Dongwei sat around the table, each with a trace of exhaustion on their faces. The few days of sleeplessness finally began to have a certain negative impact on their physical and mental strength. However, they did not stop, but worked harder on research. Chu Zhong stretched out and glanced tiredly at the densely packed images and equations on the cave wall. He knew this was just the beginning of their exploration but could not give up no matter what. After all, there are huge potentials and unknowns hidden behind this formula model. He is determined to continue to conduct in-depth research until all mysteries are revealed. Mubai gently rubbed his sore eyes and stared at the tiny changes on the experimental table under the magnifying glass. He tried his best to adjust parameters and improve experimental plans, hoping to find Wang Zhao's better and more accurate results. Every breakthrough brought him a great sense of satisfaction, and at the same time ignited his endless love for scientific exploration deep in his heart. At this moment, Tu broke the silence of the room. She stood up, stretched her tired arms, and walked to the cave entrance. She knew that this was their only breakthrough. If there really is prime, then there should be traces to follow. Dongwei used his good physical fitness to look for possible star elements around the cave. She carefully touched the surface of the cave wall, trying to feel any unusual smells or subtle vibrations. She closed her eyes and focused all her attention on her surroundings. Time passed by minute, and a long time passed before I knew it. Dongwei felt that her physical strength was gradually exhausted, but she did not give up. Chu Zhong sat in the research room, immersed in trivial scientific research materials. His eyes stared at the dense equations and data on the computer screen for a long time, trying to find a clue to a breakthrough. He has not had a good rest for several days, but he is still devoted to this important project. Suddenly, Chu Yang's eyes lit up and he discovered a key clue. From these data, he saw a peculiar pattern and law. This discovery made him think a lot. If this clue can be successfully applied, it may be possible to solve the problem of nuclear fusion energy. Chu Zhong immediately began to conduct further calculations and deductions. After several hours of hard work, he determined the feasibility and realized that if this new nuclear fusion technology was to be realized, a rare material, Chenjing, would be needed. When Chu Zhong thought about looking for star elements, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. After all, star element is so rare, and most people haven't even heard of its existence. But he also knew that only by finding this material could his theory become a reality. He didn't think much and stood up resolutely. He walked straight to the office next to him and found Bai and Tu-Wei. "Are you free?" Chu Zhong asked, eyes sparkling with excitement. Mubai raised his tired eyes to look at Chujong and nodded. What's the matter? He asked, with a hint of exhaustion in his voice. Chujong smiled and moved closer to the two of them. I found an important clue, he said excitedly. I believe this clue will allow us to solve the problem of nuclear fusion energy. When Dong Wei heard Chu Yang's words, a trace of expectation flashed in his eyes. She asked, Are you sure? Chu BDDF Zhang nodded. I have conducted detailed calculations and deductions. This theory is feasible, but to realize it, we also need a rare material, star element. Mubai and Dongwei were both shocked. They immediately expressed their support for Chu Yang's idea and expressed their willingness to cooperate with him. We cannot miss this opportunity, Mubai said encouragingly. We will definitely find the star element. Dongwei nodded in agreement. We have believed in Chujong from the beginning, and even more so now. We will definitely succeed. Chujong felt the support and encouragement from Mubai and Dongwei, and his heart was full of strength. They decided to embark on a journey together to find the star element and work hard to realize their dreams. The three of them sat down again and started in-depth discussions and plans about the star element material. Mubai, Chujong and Dongwei came to the special space and got the opportunity to meet the intellectual tribe. The special space is a mysterious and solemn place, filled with a quiet and peaceful atmosphere. The three of them were dressed in neat scientific research clothes and looked particularly professional. Walking into a huge circular building, they were guided to a spacious and bright conference room. This conference room is not like the scientific research scene they are familiar with. There is no equipment and only a few rows of neatly arranged seats. At the front, sat a group of creatures that looked completely different from humans. Chujong knew that they were in different time and space eras, but they had the same infinite wisdom as normal humans. Chujong felt the powerful and profound atmosphere here, and couldn't help but feel awe. He coughed slightly, attracting the attention of all members of the intellectual group. Dear intellectual gentlemen and ladies, thank you for taking the time to meet with us. Chujong spoke in a calm and confident voice. I am Chujong, and these are my friends Mubai and Dongwei. We are from the Earth and are here to look for your help. The existence of the intellectual group is one of the most mysterious groups on the Earth. They possess extremely high levels of wisdom and technology. They have always paid attention to the problems encountered in the development of science and technology on the Earth. Now, Chujong hopes to submit his theory of controllable nuclear fusion to these enigmatic creatures for review. All members looked at Chujong quietly, with deep interest in their eyes. There is no doubt that they have quickly understood the scientific solution presented by Chujong. The theory of controllable nuclear fusion you proposed is very promising. One of the intellectual group members spoke. We have never seen such a precise and stable solution to a problem. Do you believe you can successfully achieve it? Chujong nodded. Yes, my team has conducted a lot of calculations and deductions and achieved encouraging results, but to realize this theory, we need a very rare material. Star element. Quote. There were whispers in the conference room. The members of the knowledge group seemed to be discussing something important. Chujong smiled slightly. He was very happy that the knowledge group affirmed his plan. They are the most intelligent and intelligent race on Earth, and being recognized by them is a huge honor for Chujong. Dear intellectual gentlemen and ladies, thank you very much for your recognition of my plan. Chujong greeted them sincerely. I believe that as long as we work together, we can achieve this great and challenging goal. Mubai and Dongwei were also moved by the positive response to the plan from members of the intellectual community. They all know that if they can get the support of the intellectual community, they will bring huge changes to the Earth. Mr. Chujong, after in-depth research and discussion, we have designed a plan called the Star Project. One of the members of the intellectual group said seriously. Based on the controllable nuclear fusion theory you provided and the star element material we found, we can build a new type of nuclear fusion reactor. This reactor will be able to provide a continuous, clean and harmless energy source. Mubai, Chujong and Dongwei's eyes all shone with light, and they could feel the huge changes brought about by this plan. This is an exciting plan, Chujong said excitedly. We have been worried about the energy crisis. When the end of the world is approaching, if there is a solution to the energy problem, it will change the destiny of the entire human race. Mubai continued. Yes, we can no longer rely on oil and fossil fuels to meet our energy needs. The use of controllable nuclear fusion technology can provide clean, safe, and unlimited energy, which can not only solve the Earth's environmental problems but also promote technological development. Dongwei added, for this plan, we need to consider many factors. The first is the materials and resources required for reactor construction, and the second is the safety issue and integration with the existing energy system. Members of the knowledge community nodded in agreement and began to actively put forward opinions and suggestions. They hoped to make this plan more complete and feasible through cooperation. Our knowledge community can help with the materials needed to build the reactor. One member said, we can use our technological level to find more star element materials through space exploration and other means. Another member continued, as for safety issues, we can organize a team of experts to evaluate and improve. We have the ability to ensure that the reactor operates safely and is seamlessly connected with the existing energy system. Chu Zhong, Mu Bai and Dongwei are all very satisfied with these suggestions. They believe that the help of the intellectual group will make the plan more perfect. The STAR project quickly attracted the attention of other intellectual groups. Soon after the news spread, various ethnic groups began to contact and collaborate to jointly explore this plan that was about to change the world structure. The team led by Mubai, Chu Zhong and Dongwei received applications from various ethnic groups to participate. They felt they were in the midst of a great historical moment. In this process, they established deep cooperative relationships and trust with other knowledge groups. The first people to participate in the STAR project were the Sha-Qing ethnic group, who were famous for their exquisite craftsmanship. They promised to provide high-quality materials for the construction of nuclear fusion reactors and proposed some improvements to make the reactors more stable and efficient. Next is the Chu-Yu tribe, who are good at astronomical observation and data analysis. They brought the latest astronomical data and combined it with the nuclear fusion theory provided by Chu Zhong to provide a more accurate and reliable model for reactor construction and operation. The Winter tribe has excellent energy storage technology. They designed an advanced and efficient energy storage system to ensure the continuous supply and smooth operation of nuclear fusion energy. In addition, there are many other intellectual groups who actively participate in the STAR project. They each use their own strengths and expertise to promote the implementation of the plan. Mubai, Chu Zhong and Dongwei always maintain a passionate working state. They work closely with various ethnic groups to overcome one problem after another. Each ethnic group brings new ideas and innovations, constantly improving the plan. As time goes by, the STAR project progresses rapidly. The construction project of nuclear fusion reactor has been carried out with the efforts of various ethnic groups. Large-scale collection of STAR materials, precise positioning of installation locations, and design of efficient energy transmission systems. Every task is being carried out in an orderly manner. During this process, Mubai, Chu Zhong and Dongwei shared their knowledge and technology without hesitation. They learned a lot from other knowledge groups and also communicated their professional knowledge to them in depth. Chu Zhong, Mubai and Dongwei stepped into the forest again. The scent of the woods made him feel very mysterious and reassuring. The towering trees cast mottled light and shadow, and the sun shines through the dense leaves, forming mottled patterns on the ground. Chu Zhong carefully stepped on the soft soil under his feet and walked along the winding path. He looked up from time to time to observe his surroundings and discovered some strange and beautiful birds flying among the trees. They made strange and melodious chirping sounds, as if they were singing some kind of secret. This mysterious and ancient forest exudes an immersive atmosphere. Chu Zhong felt a strong but indescribable flow of energy, and truly felt that there were infinite possibilities hidden behind this world. Mubai and Dongwei were not with Chu Zhong, but they always kept in touch with him. Whenever Chu Zhong encounters any difficulties or doubts, they will provide timely help and advice. The three people cooperated tacitly, integrating their knowledge into one, and promoting the progress of the STAR project. In this mysterious forest, Chu Zhong felt a kind of peace away from the hustle and bustle and one with nature. He is no longer just a technology expert, but an adventurer exploring the unknown world. Every step, every breath brought him closer to the truth. Chu Zhong came to a huge and magnificent wisdom tree. He stared at the wisdom tree and found that it was covered with various complicated patterns and symbols. These patterns and symbols shine with a strange but wonderful light, as if telling a fascinating story. Chu Jong was so attracted that he could hardly extricate himself. He stretched out his hand to touch one of the symbols, and suddenly a strange power spread throughout his body. Chu Jong felt that he had a certain connection with this wisdom tree, and he began to work hard to understand this information, hoping to find new clues about the unfolding of the technology tree. Suddenly, a picture flashed quickly in Chu Yang's mind. He saw countless scenes and events, and heard mysterious and ancient voices whispering in his ears. He immersed himself in it, trying to remember every detail. These patterns and symbols told him more about the expansion of the tech tree. They show a path to new knowledge and greater technological power. Chu Jong understands that there is infinite wisdom and power hidden in this huge ancient wisdom tree, and he is the only person who can contact and understand these powers. Mubai and Dongwei watched Chu Jong quietly from a distance. They saw Chu Jong becoming more and more focused and energetic. They knew that Chu Jong was experiencing an extraordinary experience and could feel the importance of key knowledge to the Star Project. Chu Jong felt himself attracted by this wisdom tree. He kept thinking and trying to analyze every pattern and symbol. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning-like inspiration struck him. Chu Jong took a few deep breaths and closed his eyes. He stood quietly in front of the wisdom tree, trying to gather his thoughts. He recalled the scientific and technological knowledge and experimental experiences he had learned before, and tried to apply them to the current situation. His brain was running constantly, and his thoughts were jumping quickly. He was trying to find a way to promote the possibility of miniaturizing devices for fusion reactions. Chu Jong knows that if the fusion reaction can be miniaturized, it will have a huge impact on future energy supply and technological development. However, this problem is not easy to solve. Chu Jong needs to make full use of the information displayed on the wisdom tree and combine it with his own understanding and insight into the scientific and technological field. He closed his eyes, calmed down, and went deep into his heart. In the inner peace, Chu Jong felt some kind of inspiration. A lightning-like thought suddenly flashed into his mind. He hurriedly opened his eyes and stared intently at the complex and profound flow of information on the Tree of Wisdom. The idea is about how to combine magnetic field control and gravity technology to achieve miniaturized devices for fusion reactions. Chu Jong recalled the related technologies and theories he had studied before, and he believed that this idea had huge potential. He began to think about the design of this miniaturized device in his mind. He is trying to combine magnetic field control and gravity technology to achieve more efficient and stable fusion reactions. He considered the difficulties and challenges he might encounter and thought about how to solve them. He focused on reading the information flowing on the wisdom tree for Jong. Every word shocked and excited him. This information involves various principles and methods of technology, energy and material transformation, each of which is an opportunity for breakthrough. In front of him, a practical case about the combination of magnetic field control and gravity technology appeared on the wisdom tree, which made Chu Jong full of hope. This case describes the development of a new material capable of achieving stable and efficient fusion reactions under extreme conditions. Chu Jong picked up the pen and drew a simple design on the paper. He made preliminary assumptions about the composition and structure of materials, and tried to combine them with magnetic field control and gravity technology. He knew that this was just a preliminary idea, but he felt that he was already on the right path. Mubai watched Chu Jong working attentively, and his heart was full of admiration. He knew that Chu Jong was a very talented scientist, but he did not expect that Chu Jong would have such profound and avant-garde thinking. Mubai felt as if he was in a grand and mysterious world. Dongwei approached Chu Jong and asked with concern, "Chu Jong, do you think this design is feasible? I don't know much about this technology, but you seem very confident." Chu Jong stopped the pen in his hand and turned to look at Dongwei. He smiled and said, "Dongwei, it's still too early. This is just a preliminary idea and more research and experiments are needed to verify it. But I believe that through the combination of magnetic field control and gravity technology, we will be able to find a way to achieve it. A breakthrough in miniaturizing fusion reaction devices." Dong Wei nodded. He was full of confidence in Chu Jong. Although as a liberal arts student, He did not understand the technical principles involved, he believed that Chu Zhang could do it. Mubai turned on the computer and searched for relevant information on the internet. He hopes to find more scientific and technological progress and research results related to Chu Yang's idea. Li Qian's, although no breakthrough news has been discovered yet, Mubai still remains optimistic. Chu Zhang closed his eyes again and calmed down. He was thinking about how to further improve the design and find ways to solve other problems that might arise. He believes that as long as they keep working hard and thinking, they will be able to achieve the goal of miniaturizing the fusion reaction device. Under the control of Chu Zhang, this group will lead mankind into a new era. They will bring a great breakthrough to mankind and change the world's understanding of energy and technology. In the highest level conference room of the cave community, a technology boss named Volker in the technology group watched attentively. A report on Chu Zhang. The report describes in detail Chu Yang's ideas and preliminary experimental results on the star element theory. Walker became extremely interested in this concept, his eyes flashing with confusion and thought. This theory explores a new type of substance called astrol, which, according to Chu Zhang, has properties such as gravity reversal and self-healing, and can be used to create more powerful, safer, and more efficient miniaturized devices for fusion reactions. These characteristics attracted Volker. Volker is a man with rich scientific and technological experience and major achievements. He has always maintained a strong interest in novel and avant-garde scientific and technological ideas. He believes that technological innovation is the key to human progress, and is convinced that these breakthrough discoveries can bring about huge changes. Just as Walker was lost in thought, Mubai walked into the conference room. He noticed that Walker had a strong interest in Chu Zhang and decided to introduce them to each other. "Mr. Walker, have you become interested in Chu Yang's research?" Mubai asked. Walker raised his head, looked at Bai, smiled and nodded. "Yes, this theory is very attractive to BDCD people. If this star element really exists and can achieve the effect envisioned by Chu Zhang, it will be a revolutionary discovery. Where is Chu Zhang? I want to talk to him. Let's talk." Mubai pointed to the corridor outside the conference room and said, "He should still be in our laboratory. I can take you to find him." Walker stood up and said excitedly, "Great. I can't wait to discuss this theory with Chu Zhang in person." The two left the conference room and came to the entrance of the laboratory. Chu Zhang was sitting in front of an instrument conducting experiments, operating various buttons and controls attentively. "Chu Zhang, a gentleman would like to talk to you about the theory of star elements." Mubai introduced to Chu Zhang. Mubai led Chu Zhang to Walker, who was sitting at the conference table, and said with a smile, "Mr. Walker, this is Mr. Chu Zhang, a new member of our technology group. He proposed a method about star elements. Theory, I thought you might be interested in that." Walker turned to look at Chu Zhang. Under his smart and sharp eyes, Chu Zhang felt a strong and challenging aura. He faced it calmly and smiled confidently at Volker. Mubai continued, "Chu Zhang has very rich experience and knowledge in this field, and his theory has achieved very good results after preliminary experiments in our laboratory. Now is the perfect time for technological breakthroughs." Quote. Walker nodded silently, and then moved his eyes to the table next to him where a thick experimental report was placed. "I carefully studied your report on the theory of star elements, Mr. Chu Zhang," he said. "If this theory can achieve the effect you imagined, it will be a huge breakthrough. We need innovation and courage to promote the progress of science and technology, and the theory you proposed has exactly such characteristics." Chu Yang's heart moved, and he felt the common ideas and goals with Volker. He said, "I am very honored to be recognized by you, Mr. Volker. I have high hopes for this theory and am willing to work hard to verify and improve it." Chu Zhang sat on the seat opposite Volker. With confidence, with a smile, he began to explain to him his theoretical understanding of star elements. He produced a beautiful chart and experimental data, and explained the feasibility and potential benefits of this theory in detail. Chu Zhang described his understanding of star element in vivid and clear language. Star element is a new type of energy with extremely high energy density and reproducibility. It comes from stars in the universe and can be produced through scientific and technological means. Collected and extracted, compared with traditional energy sources, star elements are not only more efficient, but also pollution-free and low energy consumption. In the future, it will completely change the energy structure of our society. Walker listened intently to Chu Yang's explanation and stared at the charts and experimental data. Gradually, his brows furrowed, as if he was deep in thought. Chu Zhang could see that Volker was thinking about the feasibility of his theory. Mr. Volker, please rest assured that we have conducted preliminary experiments and achieved encouraging results. Chu Zhang said, if you are willing to give me a chance to conduct more further exploration and research, I believe we can jointly create an unprecedented energy miracle. Walker was speechless. His eyes revealed his admiration and expectation for Chu Yang's theory. He took a deep breath. Mr. Chu Zhang, your theory is indeed eye-catching. Volker said, it contains infinite possibilities and breakthroughs. I very much look forward to seeing you push this theory to the extreme and achieve incredible developments in the field of science and technology. When Chu Zhang heard Walker's praise and support, he felt a huge encouragement and motivation in his heart. He knows that the future he pursues is no longer far away. Mubai stood quietly aside, silently observing the exchange between the two. He could feel Chu Yang's enthusiasm and talent for science and technology, and he could also see Volker's recognition of this novel theory. Dong Wei stood aside quietly, silently observing the exchange between Chu Zhang and Mubai. Although he didn't understand what they were talking about specifically, Dong Wei could feel the power that might bring about change from the excitement and anticipation shining in their eyes. Chu Zhang and Mubai were talking about various scientific and technological details and experimental plans, and passionately discussed how to make breakthroughs in the next step. Dong Wei admired their tacit cooperation and rational thinking. Looking at the backs of the two people, Dong Wei made up his mind to work harder to learn technology so that he could understand and participate in the innovative work carried out by Chu Zhang and Mubai. He hopes that he can also be one of the forces that change the world. Chu Zhang, Mubai, although I don't fully understand what you are discussing, I can see that you are full of confidence in the future. Dong Wei mustered up the courage to break the silence. Chu Zhang turned around, smiled and said to Dong Wei, Dong Wei, you are also a very important member of our team. Although your professional fields are different, your talents and contributions in other aspects are irreplaceable by us. Mubai nodded and agreed. Yes, Dong Wei, we need a variety of talents to achieve innovation. Your understanding of human nature and psychology is also very valuable. Dong Wei felt the encouragement from the two of them, and a strong motivation surged in his heart. He decided to study harder and improve his knowledge and skills in the field of science and technology. Thank you for your encouragement. Dong Wei said with gratitude, I will work harder and hope that one day I can change the world with you. Chu Zhang and Mubai looked at each other, and both saw the 010 flash of affirmation in each other's eyes. Chu Zhang walked into the meeting room of the intellectual group happily. This room is bright and transparent, filled with advanced equipment and technological instruments. But soon, Chu Zhang discovered something was wrong. There was a tense atmosphere throughout the conference room. Many people gathered around and argued endlessly. They raised questions and doubts about Chu Zhang and Mubai's plan. Chu Zhang, are you sure we can succeed? An older member of the intellectual tribe asked, his face full of suspicion. Chu Zhang smiled softly, his eyes full of confidence. I understand your concerns, but we have conducted a lot of experiments and research and achieved encouraging results, and I believe we can solve the problems we are currently facing. Next, a middle-aged woman asked, but Chu Zhang, we don't have enough resources to support this plan. How can you ensure that we can proceed smoothly? Mubai answered unwaveringly. Resources are indeed a challenge, but that doesn't mean we can't overcome it. We will continue to seek partners and financial support while optimizing our plans to ensure the maximum utilization of every resource. Seeing everyone's uneasiness and worry, Chu Zhang felt an extremely firm determination in his heart. We can change the world precisely because we are courageous about the unknown. I firmly believe that as long as we unite and trust each other, we can overcome problems. The members of the intellectual group present gradually calmed down after hearing Chu Zhang and Mubai's answers. They looked at the firm and confident eyes of Chu Zhang and Mubai and felt their deep enthusiasm and persistence. Chu Zhang sat quietly in the corner of the conference room, looking at the thick stack of documents on the table. He studied these documents carefully, pondering every detail and thinking about how to make the plan more complete and reliable. Mubai came over and saw Chu Zhang studying documents, so he sat down and waited. Chu Zhang, you look very busy. Chu Zhang raised his head and smiled. Yeah, I'm re-examining our plan. This meeting made me realize that there are still many problems that need to be solved. Then what do you think? Mubai asked curiously. Chu Zhang thought for a moment and replied, first of all, we need more data to support our theory. I would like to contact some experts in the field to use their knowledge and experience to supplement the shortcomings in our plan. Mubai nodded. That's a good idea. What about other aspects? We also need to consider human resources issues. Chu Zhang frowned slightly. Although some volunteers have joined us now, to achieve our ambitious goals, we definitely need the support of more talents. Mubai said firmly. Yes, we need to find suitable talents to join as soon as possible. However, we can also seek some partners in this regard to jointly promote the implementation of the plan. Chu Zhang nodded in agreement. Dong Wei felt the encouragement from the two of them, and a strong motivation surged in his heart. He decided to study harder and improve his knowledge and skills in the field of science and technology. Thank you for your encouragement. Dong Wei said with gratitude. I will work harder and hope that one day I can change the world with you. Chu Zhang and Mubai looked at each other, and both saw the flash of affirmation in the other's eyes. Chu Zhang walked into the meeting room of the intellectual group happily. This room is bright and transparent, filled with advanced equipment and technological instruments. But soon, Chu Zhang discovered something was wrong. There was a tense atmosphere throughout the conference room. Many people gathered around and argued endlessly. They raised questions and doubts about Chu Zhang and Mubai's plan. Chu Zhang, are you sure we can succeed? An older member of the intellectual tribe asked, his face full of suspicion. Chu Zhang smiled softly, his eyes full of confidence. I understand your concerns, but we have conducted a lot of experiments and research and achieved encouraging results, and I believe we can solve the problems we are currently facing. Next, a middle-aged woman asked, but Chu Zhang, we don't have enough resources to support this plan. How can you ensure that we can proceed smoothly? Mubai answered unwaveringly. Resources are indeed a challenge, but that doesn't mean we can't overcome it. We will continue to seek partners and financial support while optimizing our plans to ensure the maximum utilization of every resource. Seeing everyone's uneasiness and worry, Chu Zhang felt an extremely firm determination in his heart. We can change the world precisely because we are courageous about the unknown. I firmly believe that as long as we unite and trust each other, we can overcome problems. The members of the intellectual group present gradually calmed down after hearing Chu Zhang and Mubai's answers. They looked at the firm and confident eyes of Chu Zhang and Mubai and felt their deep enthusiasm and persistence. Chu Zhang sat quietly in the corner of the conference room, looking at the thick stack of documents on the table. He studied these documents carefully, pondering every detail and thinking about how to make the plan more complete and reliable. Mubai came over and saw Chu Zhang studying documents, so he sat down and waited. Chu Zhang, you look very busy. Chu Zhang raised his head and smiled. Yeah, I'm re-examining our plan. This meeting made me realize that there are still many problems that need to be solved. Then what do you think? Mubai asked curiously. Chu Zhang thought for a moment and replied, first of all, we need more data to support our theory. I would like to contact some experts in the field to use their knowledge and experience to supplement the deficiencies in our plan. Mubai nodded. That's a good idea. What about other aspects? We also need to consider human resources issues. Chu Zhang frowned slightly. Although some volunteers have joined us now, we definitely need the support of more talents to achieve our ambitious goals. Mubai said firmly. Yes, we need to find suitable talents to join as soon as possible. However, we can also seek some partners in this regard to jointly promote the implementation of the plan. Chu Zhang nodded in agreement. Yes, we must dare to show our plans and conduct in-depth cooperation with other teams. Only through the combination of wisdom and strength of all parties can the plan be more perfect. The two continued to discuss every detail of the plan, and the exchange of opinions was full and energetic. They believe that only through continuous optimization and improvement day after day can they achieve the ultimate goal. Dong Wei put down the tools in his hands and looked around. The atmosphere around the cave is fresh and pleasant, and the sun shines on the ground through the leaves, like a warm golden ocean. He took a deep breath, felt the gift of nature, and then stepped forward. As Dongwei walked, he used his keen perception to search for signs of the existence of star elements. He closed his eyes, relaxed his body and mind, and allowed himself to fully integrate into the environment. Suddenly, Dongwei felt a weak and familiar energy fluctuation. He stopped and searched intently. After some hard work, he successfully found the source of the energy fluctuations, a seemingly ordinary but shimmering stone hidden in the bushes. "This is it," Dongwei shouted with excitement. He carefully removed the stone and looked closely. From the information, we learned that this mysterious substance called star element can provide powerful energy for technological innovation, and now Dongwei finally saw it with his own eyes. Dongwei quickly returned to the village and began to ask the surrounding residents for information about Xingchensu. Some people were skeptical and thought it was just a legend, while others were encouraging and supportive, providing some clues and suggestions. He firmly believes that Xingchensu must be real. He knew how important this discovery was to the development of science and technology, so he decided to continue searching and bring this information back to Chuzhong and Mubai. Dongwei carefully took out the translucent crystal and observed it carefully. This crystal emits a faint and magical light, like a beautiful gemstone. Dongwei felt filled with curiosity and excitement. He picked up the crystal and lightly touched its surface with his fingers. Suddenly, a warm energy spread through his fingers, making him feel an unprecedented excitement. After seeing this scene, Mu Bai couldn't help but walked over and asked, "Dongwei, what kind of magical thing is this? Why does it glow?" Dongwei smiled and handed the crystal to Mu Bai. "This is the translucent crystal I found in the cave. It seems to contain some kind of special energy." Mu Bai took the crystal and looked at it carefully. "It looks like an ordinary stone, how can it have special energy? I'm not sure exactly what energy it is, but it should feel similar to star element." Dongwei thought for a moment and then replied. The surrounding residents gathered around and curiously asked about the nature of the crystal. They were attracted by the shimmer emitted by the crystal and were excited about Dongwei's discovery. "Zhao Zhao's, this crystal looks like an unknown gemstone," one villager said. "Maybe it can help us solve some problems in life." "Yes, if this crystal does have special energy, we may be able to use it to improve our technological facilities," echoed another. "Everyone is looking forward to further studying this crystal." Dongwei looked at the crowd of people around him and showed a proud and satisfied smile. "Since everyone is interested in this crystal, let's study it together," Dongwei encouraged. "Maybe it can actually bring us new technological breakthroughs." Everyone nodded in agreement and decided to set up a laboratory in the village to conduct more in-depth research. Chuzhong held a transparent crystal and stared at it intently. He could feel the faint energy emanating from the crystal, as if it was a mysterious magic power. Suddenly, he remembered his previous exchange with Walker. Walker is a legendary wise man who is said to have psychic abilities and can communicate with other dimensions. This made Chuzhong curious. He decided to ask Volker about this space. After all, he needed to know more about the crystal before he could study it. Chuzhong walked towards the center of the village and stopped in front of a spacious and ancient building. This is where Walker usually lives and thinks about problems. Opening the door, Chuzhong walked into a room filled with dust and piles of books. Under the dim light, he saw Walker sitting at the table with his eyes closed and concentrating. "Mr. Walker, can I ask you a question?" Chuzhong asked softly. Walker opened his eyes and smiled slightly. "Of course, you are the one who brought the crystal to Dongwei, right? I guess you are interested in this space." Chuzhong nodded. "Yes, I would like to ask you some questions about this space." Walker put his palms on the table, looked at Chuzhong, and said slowly, "This space is a mysterious and dangerous place, where you will face unknowns and challenges." A trace of curiosity flashed in Chu Yang's eyes. "Excuse me, is there anything special in that space?" Walker took a deep breath and said solemnly, "In that space, there is psychic ability, which means you can communicate with other fields, but be careful, because psychics are not easy to control." Hearing this, Chuzhong felt endless curiosity in his heart. He imagined that he could enter that mysterious space and communicate with other realms bdaj. "Mr. Walker, can you tell me how to enter that space?" Chuzhong asked impatiently. Walker smiled and shook his head. "Unfortunately, I can't tell you the specific method. Everyone has their own unique way, and you have to find it yourself. Chu Jong pondered for a moment, and then nodded. Thank you for your guidance, Mr. Walker, I will continue to work hard. Chu Jong fell into deep thinking. He began to wonder if psychic abilities were related to the tech tree. If he can master psychic abilities, does that mean he can understand higher-level technologies? He imagined that he could enter that mysterious space, communicate with other fields, and obtain more profound scientific and technological knowledge. In this way, he will no longer be bound by existing limitations and can explore a wider and unknown world. Walker saw that Chu Jong was thinking a lot, so he smiled and said, Mr. Chu Jong, have you become interested in the connection between psychic abilities and the technology tree? Chu Jong nodded. Yes, Mr. Walker, I would like to know if it is possible to understand and master higher-level technologies through psychic abilities. Walker stared at Chu Jong quietly for a moment, and then said slowly, psychics and technology can indeed influence each other to some extent. Psychics can open up a new perspective, allowing you to observe problems from different angles, and inspire creative thinking. Hearing this, Chu Jong felt hot in his heart. He begins to realize that psychic abilities may be the key to his further exploration of the world of technology. So, Mr. Walker, do you have any suggestions? Chu Jong asked impatiently. Walker smiled and nodded. First of all, you need to cultivate your concentration and willpower. Channeling ability requires strong mind control. Secondly, you also need to find a channeling method that suits you. Each one has its own unique way of communicating with other fields. Chu Jong listened with great interest, and his thoughts were spinning rapidly. Chu Jong returned to his laboratory with excitement, and he decided to immediately start researching the specific application methods of psychic abilities. The scattered books and equipment in the laboratory show Chu Yang's endless enthusiasm for technology, and now, psychic ability has become the key to his exploration of higher-level technology. Chu Jong picked up an ancient book, which was full of mysterious symbols and spells. He read each page carefully, trying to understand the secrets hidden within. A few hours passed, and he did not find a specific method that could be directly applied to the field of science and technology. Just when Chu Jong was a little confused, Mubai came to his laboratory. When Mubai saw Chu Yang's tired look, he asked, Chu Jong, what are you studying? Approaching psychic abilities to find ways to higher-level technology. Are there any new discoveries? Chu Jong smiled bitterly and shook his head. I haven't found an accurate and feasible method yet. What is written in the book is only some basic concepts and theories, and it does not tell me how to use this knowledge collectively. Mubai thought for a moment and said, perhaps you can ask Mr. Walker for advice. As an authority on psychic abilities, he will definitely have more insights. Chu Jong nodded in agreement. They then set off for Volker's office. When they arrived, Walker was training a group of young people in the use of psychic abilities. Walker saw Chu Jong coming and greeted him with a smile. Mr. Chu Jong, what do you want from me again? Walker asked. Chu Jong said respectfully, Mr. Walker, I have studied a lot of theoretical knowledge about psychic abilities, but I have not yet found a method that can be applied in the field of science and technology. Do you have any suggestions? Walker thought for a moment, and then said slowly, when studying psychic abilities, you need to fully devote your mind and body to it, and try meditation to achieve a state of calm and concentration. Only in this state can you truly feel the connection between channeling and other realms. Chu Jong listened to Walker's words and silently thought about how to improve his psychic abilities. Mubai and Chu Jong both looked at Walker, expecting his response. Walker's eyes flashed with fiery light, and he took a deep breath, endless passion surging in his heart. This controllable nuclear fusion theory would completely change the scientific and technological world, and he couldn't help but have a strong curiosity about it. Chu Jong, your discovery is simply amazing. This connection between psychic abilities and technology is going to be a huge revelation, and I'm very grateful to you for sharing this discovery with us, Walker said excitedly. Chu Jong smiled and nodded. Professor Walker, thank you. I just accidentally discovered some clues and further understood the mystery in a meditative state. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.